Nina, your boss wants to see you, the secretary informed her over the phone. Damn it, Nina muttered in frustration. What's wrong? One of her colleagues asked. Is there a problem? Yeah, the boss is calling me, Nina replied with a sigh. And my report isn't finished. Oh, you're in trouble now, the other girl sympathized. Well, if it were just trouble, I'd be relieved, Nina said. I don't want him to fire me. He's been in a terrible mood lately, and now this report. She shook her head, feeling overwhelmed. It's all because of that. Irina, or whatever her name is, her colleague commented. Every day, it's another scandal. Nina had no interest in discussing her boss's personal life, especially not now. I'm sorry, but I have to go. Reluctantly, she hung up the phone and covered her face with her hands. She didn't feel like going to the chief's office at all. The journey there seemed shorter than ever. Taking a deep breath, she mustered the courage to enter the waiting room. Hello, Rose, Nina greeted the chief's secretary. I'm here. Am I expected? Yes, he's waiting for you, Rose confirmed. Go on in. Nina took a few hesitant steps towards the office, her heart pounding with anxiety. However, just as she reached the door, it swung open abruptly, nearly knocking her over. Oh, there you are. Her boss, Roman, noticed her presence. Good. I have an urgent matter to attend to. It shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. To save me from calling you in again, wait for me in my office. Without waiting for Nina's response, Roman rushed off in a hurry. Nina glanced back at Rose, seeking some clarification. Go ahead, Rose nodded. Since the boss ordered, he seems to be in a rush. I think he went to see Nicholas. They've been going from office to office all day. They're discussing something. Feeling a mix of relief and curiosity, Nina took a deep breath and stepped into her boss's office, unsure of what awaited her. All right, Nina said, gathering her courage. She entered the chief's office and heard the front door slam shut behind her. It felt as if all her hopes for a positive outcome were left behind that closed door. Slowly, she approached the long conference table. Initially, she wanted to sit as far away from her boss as possible, but then she decided it would be better not to show her fear so prominently. Instead, she chose a chair closer to him. Nina finally sat down, her thoughts consumed by the report. She had checked everything and thought through every detail. This was the first time she encountered such a problem. Maybe she lacked some information or had overlooked something. Either way, it would soon become irrelevant. Suddenly, Nina remembered the intriguing owl figurine that sat on the chief's desk. During long meetings, she would occasionally steal glances at it, longing to examine it up close. Nina stood up and approached Roman's desk. The owl was in its usual place, perched in the right corner of the table. Gently, she ran her fingers over the owl's metallic feathers. Then her attention shifted to a jewelry box placed beside it. Judging by its size, it likely contained earrings or a ring. Nina suspected it was a ring. Rumors had circulated in the office for some time that the chief intended to propose to his girlfriend. Irina was not well liked. In fact, she was despised by many in the office. The arrogant beauty seemed to have clashed with every employee, and Roman not only failed to intervene, but also indulged her. Nina always wondered how a calculated, decisive, and prudent man like Roman Egorovich could be infatuated with such a short-sighted girl. Irina was interested in his wealth, status, and perhaps everything else. She barely made an effort to hide it, yet the chief followed her, captivated by her amorous gaze. I wonder what kind of ring he planned to give her. Nina found herself drawn to a beautiful box nearby. She opened it and let out a gasp. The ring inside was simply stunning. A large stone, undoubtedly a diamond, shimmered beautifully in the subdued light of the office. It was surrounded by smaller stones of a delicate pink hue. I wonder how much something like this would cost, Nina murmured. It must be very expensive. Examined the ring with fascination. She even took it out of the box, contemplating trying it on, but then hesitated. Superstition got the better of her, and she decided against mixing her energy with Irina's. About to return the ring to the box and put everything back in its place, Nina heard voices coming from the waiting room. Roman Igorovich had returned. In a mechanical motion, she quickly stashed the ring and the box into her pocket and hastily took her seat. It was only then that she realized what she had done, as the office door swung open. "Waiting for me," Roman stated upon entering. "Good. Is the report completed?" Nina's complexion grew even paler. "Roman Igorovich, I didn't finish it," she mumbled. "And why not?" the man sighed. "Well, it just doesn't add up, you know." Nina babbled nervously. "I've checked it multiple times, counted everything, scrutinized every detail, but it still doesn't add up." "You understand that this is unacceptable," Roman remarked. "Nina, without this report, I'm at a loss. I could yell at you, threaten you, but we both know that only you can complete this report quickly. So go and work on it. And if tomorrow the report is not ready, well, I simply don't know." Roman gestured helplessly. "Then I won't just yell, I'll scream, and I will definitely fire you. I hope that's clear." "Absolutely," she nodded, her voice trembling. Nina hurriedly left the chief's office, trembling with anxiety. She returned to her own office, still reluctant to reach into her pocket. It felt as if the ring didn't exist until she touched it. She could pretend it wasn't real. Fear gripped her as she wondered how soon the chief would discover the missing ring. How many people had entered his office that day? Would he suspect her or mistake it for someone else's doing? Nina couldn't focus on the report. All of her thoughts revolved around how to retrieve the ill-fated ring. "Nina," her colleague called, causing her to flinch and turn around. "Yes," she responded, her anxiety evident. Her colleague watched her with concern. "You what?" her colleague asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost. I called your name 3 times and you didn't respond." "Did he fire you?" "Not yet," Nina sighed, "but he will tomorrow." "I'm sorry," she shook her head. "I just can't stop thinking about the report. I need to go out, get some fresh air. I need a new idea." She practically ran out of her office, briskly walking down the corridor without acknowledging greetings. Nina only halted when she stepped outside. The wind blew around her, but she hardly felt the cold. Taking a deep breath, she reached into her pocket and confirmed that the ring and box were still there. Foolish to think they would vanish on their own, she thought. She urgently needed to devise a plan to retrieve the ring. The idea of slipping it discreetly back to the chief, perhaps in his pocket, was quickly dismissed. That left only one option. She had to find a way into his office. But how could she do that with Rosa guarding the reception? However, Rosa would soon leave for lunch. That would be the moment to attempt it. Nina just hoped that Roman Igorovich wouldn't notice the ring's absence until then. It seemed unlikely that he would propose to Irina at work. Nina sighed and wiped her sweaty palms. Could she get away with it? She urged herself to calm down. There was still an hour and a half before her lunch break. The report still demanded her attention. If she could escape this ring predicament, there was still the risk of getting fired for failing to complete the report. Returning to her office, she tried to force herself to focus on her work, but it proved challenging. She stared at the rows of numbers, unable to shake the thought that Rosa might be away, while she sat there wasting time. What if Roman had already discovered the missing ring and called the police? Or worse, no, Nina didn't even want to entertain the other possibilities. Just as she was lost in her thoughts, Rosa suddenly walked into their office, causing Nina's heart to skip a beat. "What happened?" Nina asked. "No," Rosa shrugged. "I'm not here for you. I came to see Sveta." "Sveta, let's go grab some coffee and talk," she said, looking at Nina. "Judging by your frightened look, you're still struggling with your report." "It's not going well," Nina admitted. "Well, good luck," Rosa shrugged. The girls left, and Nina's thoughts immediately returned to the ring. If Rosa wasn't in the office, maybe Roman had left as well? She pondered for a few seconds, then got up and walked towards the waiting room. She had no idea what she was going to do there. She couldn't simply barge into the chief's office, confront him, and snatch the ring. She needed a plan. Naina entered the waiting room, finding it empty as expected. She tiptoed towards the door of the chief's office and listened. It seemed quiet inside. Naina cautiously reached for the doorknob. Should she open it, she was desperate, eager to return the ring as quickly as possible. Just as she was about to turn the handle, she heard a noise in the hallway. Startled, she quickly stepped back from the door and accidentally bumped into a nearby flower, causing it to wobble dangerously and knock against a cabinet. Several folders tumbled off the shelf, startling Naina. Frozen in horror at what she had unintentionally done, she watched as the door to the chief's office swung open. "Rosa, what's happening here?" Roman asked sternly. "And where is Rosa?" he inquired, noticing Naina. "She probably went out," Naina murmured, pale with fear. "Why are you here?" he questioned. "I made it clear that this is your last chance to complete the report. Or did you come to write your resignation letter?" "No, of course not. I came to see Rosa. I wanted to ask her for the incoming mail log. I thought I'd check the letters. I've already checked everything else. That's my last idea," Naina quickly explained. "Why is this place such a mess?" Roman asked. "I just stumbled and," Naina mumbled. "I didn't mean to. Rosa wasn't here. I thought I might find the right file and put this place in order immediately. And until Rosa comes back, don't touch anything. We'll discuss your strange behavior later, if we need to discuss it at all," Roman instructed. Naina nervously swallowed. "All right," she murmured. "I'll take care of it." The door to the chief's office closed, and Naina pressed her hands to her flaming cheeks, overwhelmed by the horror of the situation. She didn't even want to think about what would happen if she had entered the office. And now, she was certain she would be fired. Maybe she shouldn't suffer any longer. Perhaps she should just walk into the office, return the ring, and announce her resignation. "Do you feel like going to jail?" her inner voice asked her. "Well, yes, that's great. No need to worry about what to eat, where to sleep, or how to pay the mortgage." Naina knew she was being overly dramatic, but considering Roman Egorovich's personality, he could very well file a police report against her. She let out a heavy sigh and decided that she would come back to the office later. For now, she would focus on completing the report. Returning to her workspace, she resolved to start afresh. Naina forced herself to concentrate on her work. She entered the data again, double-checking every number and piece of paper. The exhaustion began to take its toll on her, and panic started to creep in. However, she stubbornly continued adding up the numbers. "Why were you going through my papers?" A voice suddenly sounded next to her ear. "Huh?" Naina flinched and looked up to find Rosa standing over her desk. "I'm sorry? What? I didn't see you there." "Roman Egorovich said you came by when I wasn't here and rummaged through my cabinets." "What were you looking for?" "I was looking for an incoming correspondence log. But I didn't touch anything. I just tripped over the rug and almost knocked over a flower, that's all." "No kidding. And why did you go to my office when you knew I wasn't there?" Rosa demanded. Naina squeezed her eyes shut. With each passing minute, her situation was deteriorating further. "Well, I forgot. I got carried away, with the report," Naina replied. "Why didn't I come a second time?" "Is this an interrogation?" "Not yet," Rosa retorted. "While I was with you, I decided to completely redo the report. You see, I'm starting from scratch. Maybe this time everything will work out, and if not, I'll come to you later." "I'm going home," Naina heard. She looked up at her colleague Sveta. "Is it 6 already?" 15 past 7, Sveta answered. You don't look well," Naina sighed. "It's not important right now," she replied. "I have a report to finish." "Are you any good at it?" Sveta asked. "I haven't even realized it yet. I haven't looked at the report in a long time. I'm doing it all over again, and I just hope it works." You should sleep. You look like a zombie. I don't have time to sleep. If I don't, they'll fire me tomorrow. I'm sorry. Sveta sighed. Okay then, good luck. Thank you. Sveta left, and Nina went back to work. She compared her first report and the new one, only to find that the numbers were still the same. This sent her into despair. What if she went through all the numbers again, only to end up with the wrong result? Nina shook her head. For now, she wouldn't dwell on it. She would just keep working. After a couple of hours, the girl felt the need for a break. She hadn't been able to type a single line for the past few minutes. Nina stood up from her desk and stretched. She needed to pour some coffee and take a 5 to 10 minute break. Glancing at her watch, she realized it was already 8 o'clock. Everyone must have left long ago. Suddenly, Nina remembered the ring. How could she have forgotten about it? She sighed, feeling somewhat fortunate. Apparently, the chief hadn't noticed the missing jewelry. Nina walked out into the corridor, taking a cup with her. The light in the hallway was still on, as it never got turned off. The silence felt unusual. She made her way to a small kitchen, unsurprisingly finding it empty. Switching on the electric kettle, she cautiously headed toward the chief's office. There were no cameras in their office, thank goodness. She moved stealthily, aware that there were no lights on in the reception area. The girl let out a sigh of relief. If Rosa had turned off the light, then Roman Igorovich had likely left as well. Nina entered the office, turned on the light, and approached the chief's desk. She pulled on the heavy door, but it was locked. She hadn't expected anything less. However, she knew for a fact that Rosa
The last
thing
thing
Nina wanted to do was rummage through someone else's drawers, but she saw no other way out. Standing before Rosa's desk in confusion, she suddenly recalled a morning when she had gone to see the chief, bringing the contract he had urgently requested. Rosa had informed her that Roman Igorovich was not present. I have to leave for work now too, Nina had said to the secretary. And I can't wait. Let me leave the contract with you. And, oh no, Rose objected. Such important documents. Someone might come in and see. You know Roman Igorovich doesn't appreciate it. I'd better put it on his desk, she continued, opening the top drawer. Yes, it was the top drawer. Nina let out a sigh of relief. She wouldn't have to search through all the drawers. Opening the top one, she lifted the papers and found what she was looking for at the bottom. I hope it fits, she muttered. Fortunately, the key fit. Nina exhaled. Now all that was left was to open the door, enter, return the ring to its rightful place, and then head back to her office to finish her report. Nina turned the key and pushed open the door to the chief's office. It was dark, and she wasn't even sure where the light switches were located. Retrieving her phone from her pocket, she turned on the flashlight and surveyed the room. Finally, she found the light switch, turned it on, and hastily closed the door behind her. She knew it was risky. The waiting room had no doors, and the light spilling out from the office would be clearly visible in the hallway. But behind the closed door, she felt somewhat calmer. Approaching the desk, Nina took the ring box out of her pocket, opened it, and ensured everything was in order. Carefully, she placed it beside the owl, being cautious not to disturb anything, and breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness she had managed to retrieve the ring. She made her way toward the door when she suddenly heard a distinct noise in the hallway. Startled, she swiftly closed herself inside the chief's office and switched off the lights. Her heart raced in her chest. Someone had entered the waiting room. The girl pressed herself against the wall, afraid to even take a breath. What was she going to do now? Nina trembled with fear and couldn't bring herself to move. She knew she should distance herself from the door. If it was Roman who had returned, he would have the keys to open the door and come face to face with her. But she couldn't bring herself to move. The fear of being heard overwhelmed her. The doorknob slowly turned. Someone was attempting to open the door. That's strange. A man's voice came from outside. Roma isn't here. Rosa is gone. The light is on, and I thought I heard a noise. Nina immediately recognized who was at the door. It wasn't her boss. The girl took a small, relieved breath. Maxim Sergeyevich Petrov, Roman's best friend and deputy chief, usually frightened her almost as much as Roman himself. But today, Nina was glad to hear his voice. At least he didn't have the keys. There was silence outside the door, but Nina didn't rush to come out. It seemed to her that Maxim hadn't left yet. "Hello," she heard his voice. "Vasily Timofeyevich." Nina understood that he was calling the security guard. "Vasily Timofeyevich, has Roman already left?" "About 2 hours ago, I see. And Rosa? She left too, right after him. It's strange. I went to the kitchen an hour ago, and the light in the waiting room was definitely off. And now someone has turned it on." "No, Vasily Timofeyevich, there's no need to come yet. Stay at your post. Roman has a spare key. I'll check it myself, and then I'll be sure to call you." "What? You have a key to Roma's office too? Great, if I can't find it here, I'll ask you to get it for me." Nina squeezed her eyes shut. Now her game was up. What should she do? Maxim would search Rosa's desk for the key, and of course, he wouldn't find it. He would call the security guard, and they would open the door together. And then what? She heard Maxim curse. Where is that stupid key? Could it be that someone broke into Ronka's house? But why take the key with them? Well, the security guard will bring the key now, the man said. Nina's heart pounded in her chest. She needed to come up with a plan quickly or face the consequences of being discovered. Nina realized it was time. It would be better to embarrass herself in front of Maxim alone than to involve others. With trembling hands, she turned the key and pushed the door open. Maxim stood in the brightly lit reception, holding the phone to his ear. His face revealed surprise, to say the least. "Oh yes," he suddenly spoke into the phone. "No, Vasily Timofeyevich, there's no need to bring the key. I'm calling to let you know that I've found it. Thank you for your assistance." Putting the telephone in his pocket, Maxim approached Nina, frozen in the doorway. "Care to explain yourself?" he asked. I, Nina began to stammer. "What is it? What are you doing in Roman Igorovich's office? Searching for documents? Planning to leak information to our competitors?" "No, Maxim Sergeyevich, that never crossed my mind." "Then what is it?" he pressed. "What am I supposed to think?" "I just happened to forget something here," the girl babbled. "Nina," Maxim approached her. "Either you answer all my questions right now, or I'll call security, Roman, and the police. We'll find out what's really going on." Nina sighed. She had no choice but to confess. She could only hope that she would be dismissed and wouldn't have to face legal consequences. "I'll tell you everything," the girl replied. "Just please believe me. I didn't intend to spy, and my presence here has nothing to do with work. I wonder if you're in love with the chief. Did you come to leave him a love letter?" Maxim said mockingly. No, Nina stammered. "Can we sit down? Honestly, I'm feeling a bit queasy. I think I'm going to..." Maxim looked at her intently. Nina was already pale, and now he took her arm and led her into Roman's office, turning on the light along the way. "Sit down," he ordered. "I'll get you some water." Maxim left the room and returned a couple of minutes later. "Here you go. Nina, you still need to tell me everything," he said. "Okay," Nina nodded, taking a sip of water. She tried to calm down and gather her thoughts. "This morning, Roman Igorovich called me to his office. When I entered, he had already left and told me to wait for him in his office. I went in and sat down. I was very nervous because I knew he would scold me about the report." "Oh yes, the report. You really need to finish it," Maxim interjected. "I know," Nina replied, "but I can't. Anyway, I was anxious and started looking around. Roman Igorovich has an owl on the table over there," Nina pointed with her hand. "I know, and what about it?" Maxim inquired. I really liked it, Nana confessed. I've always wanted to take a closer look at it. Did you come to the chief's office at night to steal the owl? Maxim's assumption was so absurd that Nina couldn't help but smile. Of course not, she answered. Do you see the box next to the owl? There's a ring inside it. It was there this morning too. I took it in my hands to examine it. Silly, I know, but I couldn't resist. Then I heard a noise, so I put the box in my pocket. Oh God, Nana. Maxim shook his head, realizing the predicament they were in. The girl lowered her head. I'm so ashamed, she admitted. I got scared, and I did something stupid. But I was afraid to approach Roman Egorovich. I was afraid he would think I wanted to steal the ring and report me to the police. I don't want to go to jail. So you waited until everyone left work and decided to return the ring, Maxim deduced. Yes, the girl confirmed. I just came to put it back. Maxim stood up and walked over to Roman's desk. He opened the box and twirled it thoughtfully in his hands. I hate to disappoint you, he said softly as he placed the ring back. Roman noticed its absence. How? But, well, he didn't say anything directly, but why didn't he cause a scene, search for the ring? Nina wondered. I believe it's a valuable item. I think it's because of Irina, Maxim explained. She's a very calculating young lady. She paid him a visit today. It's possible she took the ring and had it appraised by a jeweler to see if it was worth her time or not. But Nina shook her head. Why would Roman Egorovich associate himself with such a girl? I'd like to know that too, admitted Maxim. But that's not the main concern right now. They will meet tonight and have a conversation. He will inquire about the ring. And what will happen? Nana asked, frightened. It's hard to say, Maxim replied. In the morning, he'll come to work. The ring will be in its place. In theory, there's no reason to worry. Let's hope it stays that way. I'll tell you something, Nina. You seem to be a good employee. I've never had any complaints before. And you did an excellent job. I won't say anything to Roman. However, this is the first and last time. Go home now. Come back to work tomorrow. Let's hope he doesn't find out. And if he does, I'll take the blame for the missing ring. Nana felt a mix of relief and gratitude. She nodded and gathered her belongings, ready to leave. Perhaps she had escaped the worst, but she knew she had learned a valuable lesson about the consequences of her actions. But why should you do that? Nana asked, perplexed. Maxim shrugged his shoulders. I can't stand this Irina, he admitted. Roman is a great guy, kind, funny. So many interesting girls pursued him and he chose her. Well, Nina, it's not really appropriate to discuss our bosses. Nana nodded in agreement. You're right, Maxim Alexandrovich. It's getting late, Maxim suddenly realized. Let me give you a ride. Maxim Alexandrovich, the girl lowered her eyes. I'll stay here, in my office, of course. I promise I won't go anywhere else, not even to the kitchen, and I'll stay far away from Roman Egorovich's office. But I can't leave. Why is that? Maxim was surprised. Roman Viktorovich said I have until morning. Either I submit the report or he'll fire me. Since you promised not to turn me in, I'll try to keep my job and complete the report after all. Maxim looked at Nina with interest. And why haven't you done it yet? He asked. It's not working, Nina replied with frustration. It just doesn't add up. And you've been working on it since this morning? Yes, she confirmed. At first, I tried to find the error, and now I'm starting over again. How much more do you have to do? Well, I've already completed more than half of it, Nina answered. I should be finished by morning. Have you had lunch? Rested? Maxim inquired. She shook her head. No, I haven't. Though, she added, pointing towards the room, I took a brief rest. All right, Maxim nodded. Get back to work. Nina quickly rose from her seat and hurried out of the office, but stopped abruptly, turning back to face Maxim. Maxim Alexandrovich, thank you very much. I really need this job, she expressed gratefully. All right, go on, Maxim encouraged her. Nina practically sprinted back to her office. She felt parched, but she didn't dare enter the kitchen to get a glass of water. Her hands continued to tremble from the recent ordeal. Despite the hours spent in front of the computer, fatigue eluded her. The shock of what had transpired still lingered. Nina opened her first report and decided to review it once again. After 15 minutes, she exclaimed with joy and lightly slapped her forehead. How could she have forgotten? There was a figure she shouldn't have included. She quickly deleted the unnecessary line. Now she just had to reconcile the data and hope that this time everything would add up. The girl looked up the door to her office and saw Maxim standing there. Is something wrong? She asked. You've changed your mind, haven't you? No, he smiled. I haven't. I've brought food, and I'm ready to help you with your report. Nina's mouth dropped open in astonishment as she stared at Max. Several years ago, when they had first met, she had developed a liking for Maxim. However, he had always been harsh, sarcastic, and often mocked her and the other employees. As a result, Nina preferred to keep her distance from him. She certainly didn't expect him to offer his assistance. Suddenly, the girl realized how foolish she must appear and quickly closed her mouth. Is something wrong? Maxim asked. I just didn't expect such a gesture. You don't usually help your subordinates. I'm sorry, she stammered, feeling embarrassed. It's nothing, Maxim calmly replied, unpacking a box of pizza. You're right, though. Maybe we should switch things up. Nina thought she couldn't be more surprised, but okay, she nodded uncertainly. I like a bit more enthusiasm from you, Maxim chuckled. Yes, it's not my usual style, and I'm accustomed to maintaining some distance from my staff. That's understandable, she quickly responded. We can discuss matters today, but tomorrow we can revert to our formal communication. Maxim shook his head. I don't want that, he said. What's the status of your report? I found a mistake. I just need to double-check everything, and then we can go home. Although, Nina shrugged, there isn't much waiting for me at home. I'll sleep here tonight. I can drive you, Maxim suggested. And tomorrow morning, I'll pick you up and take you to work. Nina looked at Maxim with a tense expression. Do you think I'll run away? She asked. Maxim grinned. No, he replied. No, I don't think so. By the way, do you have any plans for tomorrow evening? If I don't get fired, my plan is to go home from work and go to bed, Nina honestly admitted. Or maybe we could grab lunch first and then head home, Maxim suggested. I don't quite understand, Nina muttered. Why? Because I want to know more about what happened today, and because I simply want to spend time with you, he explained. The girl lowered her head and scrutinized Maxim closely. We've been working together for about 2 years, and until I broke into the office of your friend and our boss, you never wanted to spend time with me, and now you do. She hesitated. Do you want to ask if I'm normal? Maxim laughed. To be honest, I was attracted to you from the beginning, even 2 years ago. But then, he gestured with his hands, I had a girlfriend, and later we broke up, and I wasn't interested in being in a relationship. And when I got to know you better, you always remained so reserved, trying to keep a low profile. Because when I don't keep a low profile, I end up breaking into the chief's office at night. I always find myself in stupid situations, she said. You wouldn't even say I'm unlucky. I mess everything up myself. And I like it, Maxim confessed. Nina, I've noticed more than once that you're a smart girl. Sometimes, in meetings, when you let yourself go a little, you come up with fantastic ideas. But because you don't believe in yourself, you immediately dismiss them. Nina smiled sadly. Maybe, she replied. But things just don't seem to work out well for me. So maybe you'll let me be there to help you. Although I don't think you need any help. Breaking into Roman's office was foolish, of course, but also very courageous. You didn't panic. You didn't cry. In fact, you even found the strength to work on the report. You're intelligent, Maxim assured her. Well, if you see it that way, Nina mused thoughtfully. That's how I see it, Nina. Let's have dinner tomorrow, and then we'll see where things go from there, Maxim proposed. All right, she agreed. I'm open to it.